Hi, this is Mark from Skywagon University. Today we're going to look at a Cessna Cardinal 177B. So the Cardinal. People have asked us to do a Cardinal video. I just got this one in. It's already got a guy who's going to buy it, but they're very popular planes, and they were actually designed to replace the 172 in 1968. So these were going to be the Cessna 172J. And if you notice, in the run of Cessna's 172s, there isn't a J. So this came out in '68. There's a plane taking off. Airports. This came out in '68. In '68, the first Cardinals were 150 horsepower. This is 180 horse. This is a 76 177B. So the '68s were 150 horse with a fixed pitch prop, and they all have no strut, and they all have this cantilevered wing like a 210, and they all have the completely moving horizontal stabilizer. So if you come around to the tail, I'll show you a couple of things that the early planes had an issue with. So they noticed that a few of them were stalling their tails before the wing when they were landing if you were too slow, and there was the ones that didn't have these slats. You can see them here. My hand goes right through to the other side. Come up close and have a look at it. So when the tail's flying and you're flaring like this, rather than stall, remember this flies upside down, the boundary layer's under here, the air will go through that and delay the stall. So they fix that, like I should fix that. They fix that by putting this leading edge slat in it as an aftermarket fix. It was called the Cardinal rule. And it were these, like, a lot of little things that the factory did and that the owners did, and owners had to put this in it to prevent them from stalling. And I was speaking to a very, very knowledgeable person called Keith Peterson, who founded the Cardinal Flyers Association. He's the most knowledgeable Cardinal guy in the world, literally. And if you need a pre-buy done on any Cardinal anywhere, he'll do it. But he was telling me these were added to the 68s. 69 got them. They became, they went from 150 to 180 horsepower with the B model and with a constant speed prop on it. So this engine combo that's on the front of it is very similar to an Amuni M20C, in an early Piper Arrow. The RG version of this that came out in 77, 78, they were 200 horse injected Lycomings with constant speeds. So the first question everyone's going to ask about Cardinals is the spar AD, the spar that's on the 210 and the Cardinal that's being discussed at the moment. As of December 2021, right now, today, there is not an AD on the Cardinal carry-through spar. It's being discussed, and it might become one, but the reason that it isn't in consideration as much as it was for the 210 is in a 210, the spar is here, it's above your head. So when the seat is forward, it's right here, and because it's above your head, it's padded. And because it's padded, it has glue. Because it has glue, it sticks to it, and the sticking to it holds water. The water makes corrosion, and then you get corrosion on your spar. In a Cardinal, the spar is not above your head, so it's not padded. So it's under this plastic, and it's just bare metal with corrosion proofing on it, so they survive much better. So they are in consideration, but it's not an AD yet. But conscientious owners will maintain and look after their spars anyway. But it doesn't have the glue or the padding or the oxygen bottles that the 210s have, so it's not as significant. Plus, the plane weighs less, there's less load on it, it's a slightly different design, but it's being considered. So that's an important thing. But anyway, when you're looking at a Cardinal, the main thing you look at is its spar, but there's not an AD at the moment. Now, since you're already there, you can see right through the plane. I mean, this is us, like camera's backing away, I'm backing away. This is the appeal of Cardinals. They have these massive doors. And for access, there isn't really anything better. I mean, they're huge. They open to 90 degrees like this. So if you're like in your autumn years, or you're not very firm on your legs, or you don't climb on a wing, or you don't want to go in one door, this is a fantastic option. And they're basically the performance of a 180 horsepower 172. They're slightly less than a 182, slightly more than a 172. They're just a perfect fit. Now, because of these doors, if we go around the front and look at it square on, even now I'm slightly paranoid of the wind, but look at that thing, it's like enormous. So If you park, imagine it, you taxi in, you've got a non-pilot in the right seat, you're giving them a ride, you park it, the wind's blowing from behind, they open the door and it snatches it out of their hand. These can cause some serious damage if they over-open. They'll go to 90 degrees, but you'll always find Cardinal owners standing next to their door like this, making sure it's not blowing if it's tail into wind, or make sure it's parked into wind so it can't happen. But they are massive, they're like a sail, so be very aware of the doors and of any dents at the hinges where they've actually been over-opened and been damaged. But a very good appeal of a Cardinal is these massive doors on it. So the tail, unlike the 172 that it was trying to replace, it had a fixed horizontal with an elevator and a trim tab. This, the entire tail moves like this. And one of the other modifications they did on the early plane was limit its travel a tiny bit so it couldn't be as nose high in the stall. So there's a few things that are different. But the early plane's a great two-seat, family runaround, fixed pitch, lightweight, big cabin, just they're very functional, good planes still. But the popular Cardinal is the 177B because it's 180 horse, it's constant speed, all these problems are ironed out of it, but it's not yet the complexity of the RG yet. So they made these from 70 to 78. And in 78, stopped making them, never stopped producing the 172, and that was more, this was its replacement, but it never happened because the continuity of flight schools wanted 172s, so they kept making 172s, and when this stopped in 78, they replaced it with the Hawk XP, which was basically a 172 with a bigger six-cylinder Continental in it, fuel injected, that wasn't as fast, that used more gas, but sold 3 times more of them. So maybe people just need the familiarity of a 172 in buying the XP. So a very little known thing and a very tidbit of information that Keith Peterson from the Cardinal Flyers told me on the early planes, the ones that had the stalling issues at low airspeeds, when they form this wing, they obviously fold it, like fold, 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 and you can see like a flat area where the wing has gone, and if it's perfect, it's smooth. And if it's still got these ridges on it, the ones with the ridges, the earlier planes, actually flew slower. And they didn't have as much of an issue. And it's not like a scientific thing, but he's a mechanical engineer, and he said that it's been noted that the ones that have that fly more slowly. So it's a marginal stall thing, but I just saw it with the sunlight on it the way it is at the moment. I hadn't ever noticed it before, but you can see that on this plane, which is a 76. So the wings in general, they're basically Cessna 210 wings. The big ailerons, long flaps, outboard gas caps. This one's got Monarch gas cap lids on it, which are good. They're an aftermarket modification where water just runs off and it never goes inside. 60-gallon fuel capacity. In flight, they're very responsive. The whole movableness of the tail is excellent for pitch. And then when your aileron is this size, I mean, that's 18 inches. The 172 is 8 inches. So they have very good harmonics in flight. That's the trim tab, but it's not adjustable. You would loosen it under here, move it, retighten the screws. And this one is actually neutral, which is good because it means it doesn't need to be rigged. Now, let's fly it and see what she's like in the air.
Placerville, Cessna Cardinal 12095, departing runway 23, local flight Placerville. Oakland Guard, ExitJet 241.
Checking final. Massive
I missed
view.
up the frequency. Could you give us a local one?
Massive view in a Cardinal. You're sitting in front of the wing.
3437, thanks.
Smoothly to full power. Got oil pressure at about 60. Nose wheels up, and she'll fly shortly after that. Flaps coming up. Manifold pressure back to the top of the green.
There can't get traffic, Merlin on a 3 mile file, 30 can't get away.
The red light is the RPM because it's takeoff power. So wind the RPM back. Red light goes out, 2400 RPM. A little bit of trim.
Placerville, 12095 is on left crosswind 23 at Placerville.
visibility out of the side. You're in front of the wing. So when you're banking, you can see what is there, rather than in the case of 172, 182, the wing actually obscures it. So that's the forward view of the wing turning onto downwind. Here's the underwing view. It's still very much out of the way. And obviously no strut. There's the wheel. Airport looking nice on the hill. And a bit of fresh snow on the Sierras over there. Garmin 650.
9828 Tango, left base, approach leg from runway 34 level.
Placerville Cardinal 095 on left downwind 23 Placerville.
Okay, let's land it.
9828 Tango, final approach, runway 34.
Flat arc, first stage. Just pull back a little bit on the manifold pressure. And we're in the flap range. And try it, if you treat it exactly like a 172, 180 horse or 182, the numbers, speeds, very similar. Do not be tempted to land it very fast because it's got a laminar flow wing on it. You just land it like a 182 or like a 172.
And Placerville 095 on final now, 23 full stop Placerville.
Power back. Props come off the 2400, so we'll go full in on the prop. Final stage of flaps.
Placerville Cardinal 095, final 23 at Placerville.
There's a bird right there on final. Got a red and a white light. Full flaps. Gears already down. And then you're just like 70. Let it land on its own. Just hold it off, hold it off, hold it off. We'll just see what it wants. There, touchdown at like 55 or so. Flaps. Very, very Cessna-like. But modern looking. When they built these, when they designed them, they said, right, everything you noticed about the Cessna line, the 182, 172s, redesign it completely and build the next plane, and that was what this was. But people were very used to the old design, and it is an excellent design. So the 182 and the 172 are still very, very popular, and the Cardinal went away. But it's got an avid following, and they're great planes. This one is especially nice, and I'll just show you a little feature in it. Cardinals have. These doors don't, these windows don't open, but this little side window here, watch, you wind it like a 57 Chevy, and the window opens. And it's cold out there today, but you can't open them in flight. They just scoop the air in when you're taxiing, both sides. And then if we look behind, a lot of legroom in the back, baggage area, wide cabin, big wide doors, good planes. So, I'm standing off a little bit to one side so you can see the whole plane. They're very pretty planes. I mean, look how sleek it is. Low windshield, it's kind of looks modern. It's just, for its day, it was very modern and good looking plane, and that's why they're so popular today. Anyway, there she is, 76 Cardinal 177B, 180 horsepower, constant speed prop, fixed gear, made them from 68 to 78. A quick review and a flight of them. We were going to have an RG, but we couldn't get it for this video. We might do another one later. So this is Mark at Skywagon University signing off on another one. if you have another plane or something of interest that you think that we'd like to see, but you've got it, bring it here and we can definitely do a video on that, interview the owner, fly it around. And then subscribe on the little link down here at the bottom, and there's a bell that will let you know when other videos come on. But here we are at Skywagons University. Thanks very much for watching.